Why in the world would I fly halfway across the country? I live in LA. Why the heck are we going to Pittsburgh to finish my movie? Hey guys, it's Dave. Welcome back to the making of Backlash. We're getting down to the last 2 episodes. This is all about post-production. And believe me, when you don't know what you don't know, there's a lot to learn. And most of it, almost all of it, is a real pain in the butt. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you go back and watch the earlier episodes of how we got here. It'll take you all the way from the beginning, the inception of the idea, to scripting, casting, production, and now we find ourselves in post. Away we go into the great wild blue yonder. Now it was time to take all my film, transfer it to U-matic tape, U-matic 3/4 inch tape. And if you've never seen one, this is what it looks like. In fact, this is one of the original Backlash tapes that was used for the behind the scenes that you guys are watching on this series. So I call everywhere and I'm like, okay, I need the best deal in town because I'm spending my own money and I want a really good deal. So I go to this place in the Valley. And if you know anything about the Valley in the early 90s, you'll know why this was a bit of a surprise to me. Okay? Wholesome church-going boy from the Bay Area coming down to the Valley in the early 90s. So we get set up in this room and my colorist comes in and he's like, okay, what do you need? And I tell him what I want to do. And he's like, all right, fine. So he disappears with all my stuff into the back. Comes back a few minutes later. He's like, hey, I've got a question on one of these reels. Come back with me. So I walk into the back with him and I got assaulted by rows and rows of video monitors, all showing dailies from whatever the latest porn movie was that was being shot in the Valley. Suddenly I realized why I was getting a good deal. Yeah. So the first thing that I did was cut a promo for the movie. Now this was simply just a string out of shots that I actually edited to show at a Christmas party in 1994, just to see what we had done. Those 2 minutes actually helped us raise financing to finish the rest of the film. Because shooting it is one thing. What I didn't realize is that the sheer number of deliverables that was required to get a film into distribution and the costs associated with those things, it was ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about split tracks, a music and effects track. And if you don't know what an M&E track is, let me tell you, every distributor requires for the movie to be delivered in such a way that they can dub their own language over the top of it. If I'm filming a scene and there's other sounds going over at the same time as my voice, like for instance, if I'm rattling this tape around while I'm talking to you, well, what happens if you want to dub my voice into Spanish? You still need the tape rattling, which means if you take my voice away, you also take away the rattling of the tape, which means you need to put it back in. So now you have a sound effects editor that has to put the sound of the tape back in. Now this is for every single sound in the movie. And this takes forever. It's January 17th, 1995. 1 year after the big LA earthquake, and we're still working on Backlash. We're editing sound on a Pro Tools system here in my house, and it's going all right. We've taken up 6 gigabytes so far worth of space. It'd be nice to have more because we have music to edit as well. Now, sound design is something I had zero exposure to, so I had to actually learn it from the ground up. I had a couple of mixer friends who I had met through our Casey Kasem show that I worked with early on in my career, even before Back to the Future. And they were kind enough to let me come down to their facility and raid their sound effects library, which basically consisted of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sound effects, all on DAT tape. Well then, when it came time to putting them digitally into the computer, we actually had to cut apart each of those sound effects, name it, put it in its own library. We were essentially creating our own digital libraries of sound effects that we needed for the movie, one by one by one by one. I'll never forget my friend Brad. He came over and he was helping me do this, and we were working till way, way late. I mean, we were pulling all-nighters sometimes. And I remember I was in my office and he was in the dining room of our apartment, and I would hear the computer go beep, 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 beep. Brad was editing sound effects, and I came in to find him asleep on the mouse. And the computer was just beeping over and over and over again. It didn't even wake him up. I had to pull him off the mouse and be like, dude, go home, get some sleep, crash on the couch, whatever you got to do. This was our life cutting sound.
I'm putting in the party tracks right now. So as you can see, you're watching the video and all you hear is party noise. Oh, there's a bird. Now, if you really want to get exciting, we can import audio, and we can play all kinds of interesting things, you know. Nothing like the sound of a good gunshot, especially in the morning when you're trying to wake Garth up, because he sleeps 4 feet from here. I have fun with this. Got audio and dialogue.
Okay, I'll meet you up front. Just give me 2 seconds.
And it's all stored digitally. It's quite something.
My very first hard drive that I ever bought was 9 gigabytes. It was an Avid drive, 9 gigabytes, in order for us to load up the sound effects. Do you know how much that drive cost me? Take a guess. 9 gigabytes. I'm shooting on a card right now that's 32 gigabytes. Probably cost me, I don't know, $12. That drive, 9 gigabytes, cost me $1,100. And that was used. $1,100 for 9 gigabytes. Holy cow. Welcome to the Jurassic period. So now it comes time to do the final mix.
I'm mixing my film, but we're supposed to mix in 3.5 hours. I'm still cutting the music. And I just found out right now that I screwed up cutting the music because I didn't stereo pan everything. And I've learned how to use the stupid ADAT in connection with the Pro Tools. Dude, I'm stressing, man.
And this was the first time that I actually got to go into a real mix stage with my own project and be the guy.
What's up?
Where are you, man?
We're at the mix place. This is the documenting of my life for my kids. Way back,
Your baby.
2 years ago. So they will see what Daddy did when he was in his early 20s.
Okay, everybody down! Down now, he's down! Down, good! Down, mister, now! Down right there, down! Down, mister, right now!
Tommy, what are you doing?
Keep rolling, Ted. This is where it gets fun.
Now it comes time to actually make a film print. Well, this is a real pain in the butt, I gotta tell you, okay? Because what you gotta do is you have to write down every edit in the movie. Each frame of the film has what's called a key code associated with it. When you look at the tape and you see all those little numbers down below, each one of those numbers corresponds to an actual frame of the original negative. And you've got to write down where every edit is. And you better be accurate, because if you're not, that guy who's cutting your negative is going to cut the wrong spot. And once that happens, you're done. Now, my sales guy, he had a relationship with a lab in Pittsburgh called WRS. And apparently they cut some kind of deal where my sales guy is like, okay, Dave, you're going to go to Pittsburgh to finish the movie. Pittsburgh? I've got a lab literally down the street from me, Photochem. I could have walked to it. It would take me 4 minutes to walk to Photochem. I literally could see it outside my window. Now I got to get on a plane to Pittsburgh? Welcome to Hollywood. Welcome to Pittsburgh, I guess. So WRS did all their magic and they did all their thing, and they came back and they transferred it and they said, here's your movie. And I watched it back and I'm like, that doesn't look like my movie. I can't even see detail. It looks all fuzzy and weird. So what happened? What did you do? I'm like, what are you talking about? What did we do? That's what we did. We pulled the low con print from your inner negative and that's what we transferred. That's generally what we do. And I'm like, well, it isn't right. It isn't right. I turned to Brad and I'm like, that's not my movie. Can't you tell? That's not my movie. So I had to stick to my guns to tell him this is not right. I had to be the guy who is a pill, a thorn in their side, to break through their complacency, to insist that we do something differently. And I didn't have the language. I couldn't tell them what we needed to do differently. I just knew that it wasn't right. I wasn't seeing the proper contrast levels and the proper colors. Even with my color deficiency, I could tell that something was off. It looked muddy. It looked soft. It looked weird. So WRS goes back at my insistence, and they pull a print from the original cut negative. And I looked at that and I said, that is my movie. And so they discarded the low-con print and they actually did it according to the way that it should be done. Not the cheap way, the right way. And I am so glad that I stuck to my guns, because we got it back in Hollywood. My friend Candace, who worked at Kodak, who is still one of my favorite people on the earth, was kind enough to let us use the screening room at Kodak to watch back our little movie.
Kodak screening room. What's up, Jake?
Popcorn. You brought popcorn, man.
June 20th, 1995. About to screen the first reel of Backlash for the very first time.
6 years after.
On that screen right there.
6 years after its inception, Backlash finally rolled.
The momentous occasion of first reel.
There's Candace in there. Tweaking it, getting it ready.
Hi!
Rewinding the film.
That WRS gave us tails out.
Of course they did.
Oh, but it's feeling good to my biceps. Triceps, biceps, go, go, go.
Go, girl.
Action!
It's insane.
I'm sorry, there's no filming in here. You'll have to put the camera away.
Golf clap, golf clap.
Golf clap or no, that was a major moment for us to be able to see your work on the big screen projected on film for the first time. Are you kidding me? That is like what you live for as a filmmaker. It was amazing. And from that point forward, we were able to finish strong. I was able to get everything done and deliver all the elements necessary to our sales agent to be able to sell the film internationally. And that's when I made one of the biggest mistakes that I made on the entire film, financially speaking. And I will tell you about that next week as we discuss distribution and what it means to sign a good contract to get protected as you put your film out into the marketplace. There are so many things to keep in mind before you sign on that dotted line. So we'll talk about those and a few other lessons that I learned getting our film into the marketplace. So come back next week, okay? But for now, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It's really great you guys stuck with me to the end of the video. I do appreciate your support. I will see you next time.